Start. Okay, you guys hear me now?
Sure.
Me too.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here you go.
Okay. Were you able to hear where we're starting from Maser Rav Mari? It's 17 lines from the bottom on Vav base. Yeah, it's we were asking a question on Rav Papa because Rav Shesha said that if there's a saita, that there's witnesses in a distant country, so we said that the saita water doesn't work for it. So we asked the question that sometimes we find that there's witnesses in a different country. It turns out that the carbon mincha that the woman was bringing is considered enough of a mincha that it needs to be burnt. We don't say that it was all a mistake. If the whole thing is a mistake, if it's not valid at all, even the waters don't work, we should say it's a mistake. So Rav Papa answered that we're talking about midrabanan. We don't want to get into that habit of taking a mincha that was put in a klisharis and taking it out and just saying that it's really chulin because it was a mistake. So midrabanan, we say that you have to treat it as a mincha. So if Mari has a question like this: Nitmis minchasa actually bekeli. Let's say it's a rather long question, so you have to bear with this until we get to the end, and then you'll see that he's asking a question on Rav Papa. Rav Papa's statement was: where do we see that we actually don't see that a carbon mincha that has witnesses, that there's witnesses that she's actually guilty? We will allow that carbon to be chulin. That's what we're going to say. That the carbon could be chulin, not like Rav Papa says that we never let that. So that it becomes like it goes like this. Nitzmes mincha such like it should be. Let's say the carbon mincha became tummy. All types of problems with the saita's mincha. First is it becomes tummy. Well, harei kol menachos v'tifta. So that's not a problem. You treat it like all other menachos, and you have to redeem it, and you have to. But the money that you get from the redemption, you buy a new carbon. Misha kitchen bekeli. Let's say the carbon was already put into the klisharis. We're talking about the mincha was put into the pot. It's like all the other minchas, and it's burned. Second.
So there could be an instance where Sota would drink the waters, and then the witnesses come later, that we said yesterday, and they say like, "Oh, we witnessed, in the act."
Yeah. So what we said yesterday is that according to Rav Sheshes, the Sefer waters would not be functional. They won't be effective.
So that makes me question if the Sota water is even reliable to begin with.
That's what Rav Shimon said. That no one's going to trust this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or everyone's going to say, "What's the problem?" Or Rav Sheshes says, "Nevertheless." Yeah.
But isn't the Sota waters more of a psychological ploy and playing on her mind to get her to admit?
But it really did work.
I'm not saying it didn't work, but I'm saying that really works too.
Right.
You put the fear of God in someone's mind great enough, and enough embarrassment in front of the base Knesset. I'm just saying, "Oh man, that's going to work."
Right.
That's if she was guilty for her to admit it, so she won't drink it.
Yeah, and if she's not guilty, she's not worried.
But but you're still freaking out because this thing, who knows, it's a wild,
I think she's only freaking out. She's guilty.
It reminds me of thinking about
You wouldn't want to drink that.
when the first.
I wouldn't want to be
like,
trouble.
the person.
You wouldn't want to drink that potent.
Just weird, and that
Yeah.
They didn't have a policy.
Pour it up.
With ink in
making
it.
it clean.
Yeah.
When they found
That's a lot of
something,
blood.
Oh.
who got the first.
Oh. Okay. Okay. That's what Dr. Stein's saying. Then it's the deterrent.
But it would also work.
We're not saying here that it's a deterrent. We're usually say it's the Saita waters is to determine if she's guilty or not. It's not the deterrent aspect. It's we don't know if she's guilty. It determines, not a deterrent. No, not most of the time. It doesn't work.
Fight them.
If there's witnesses, so what we're saying now, according to Rav Sheshes, is that if there's witnesses in a faraway country, we're going to say that the Saita waters aren't going to be effective. So why don't we just get rid of the mincha and say that the mincha was nothing, if you find out that there's witnesses. So Rav Papa said that's because we don't like to take karban and just make it into chulin. Well, Rav Mari has a question. We have these cases where we're actually going to make it chulin. Next case was if it was already put in a kelis. Well, if it becomes tamei, then you have to burn it just like a carbon mincha that becomes tamei. It has to be burnt. Burnt means not on the altar. Kodesh hakaimetz or kiddush hakaimetz. If the kaimetz, which is the scoopful that the kain takes from the flour, if he puts that into another keli, did he actually put it into another keli? Yeah, put it into another keli. And Rashi goes through over here that every part of the carbon mincha is associated with another part of a regular carbon. The kmitza is considered like the shchita, and then putting it into a keli is considered like the kabbalah, and then there's the halacha, and then you have to put it on the altar. That's considered like the zrika. So there's the 4 parts of the carbon minchas corresponding to the 4 parts of the carbon. So, but you weren't able to bring it to the altar until the husband died or the woman died, the suspected adulteress. So what do you do now? It says, well, you do what you do with every carbon mincha when there's when the owner dies or whatever. So you have it burnt because it's already consecrated. You can't just let it go out. Let's say the kaimetz was brought on the altar, was burnt. Kaimetz, it's the scoopful, but they didn't have a chance to burn they didn't have a chance to eat the remaining part of the carbon mincha. Pass me your pencil. Or until either he died or she died. So the rule is, you still, so other people can eat it, because it was the kaimetz was already brought. That's the main part. It's like the blood was sprinkled. Because the whole carbon was just brought over here it says kipra, and it doesn't mean kipra as like a kapara. This carbon mincha was not a kapara. This was a just to show us if she's guilty or not. Uncertainty. It was there to show us this to determine. Bo'ola Adam. Here's what we were looking for. Bo'ola Adam shehit meya. Let's say witnesses show up after the carbon mincha was brought. Not brought. After the carbon mincha is put into the keli, before it's brought.
This is done after she drinks.
She didn't drink yet.
Oh,
so Bo'ola Adam shehit meya, but witnesses show up. So because there's Adam, so then the putting of the mincha into the keli was really all a mistake, because this whole process doesn't apply if there's witnesses. And the rule is minchas and nisrefes. You have to burn the carbon mincha. Nimtu Adim zaim edel zaimamin. Let's say the Adim, not here. 1 second. Not the Adim that said that she's tamei. The Adim that said that she was secluded.
Adam's witness.
Witnesses. The witnesses that said that she was secluded turned out were not even in that same place when they said she was secluded. They weren't even there. They were in a different state. So it's called Adam Zaymim. What do you do to such Adam Zaymim? They're gonna make these Adam drink the water. Oh boy. They wanted to get her to drink the water. They said that she was secluded with this man. I don't know.
So
But Nimsei does so what happens? Yeah, it turns out that the witnesses that said she was secluded were false. We say mincha chulin. The mincha is chulin. The whole thing, this whole process was all a mistake. According to Rav Papa, that says that even when it's a mistake, we don't like to take it from the klisharis and to say that it's just chulin, because that's a bad habit to start taking things out of hekdesh and saying that it's really mundane because of a mistake. Here we see that you do that when it's a mistake. When by Adam Zayman. The Gemara says, Adam Zayman Kamre. You're asking about Adam Zayman. Adam Zayman Kalas Lahu. That's not a problem. When there's Adam Zayman, that becomes a big to do. Everyone's talking about, did you hear the Adam Zayman? So over there, when we take a carbon mincha and we say that it's not really a carbon mincha, it was all based on a mistaken premise. That's not a problem if there were Eidim Zayman, because that's the talk of the town. Everyone knows that when there's Eidim Zayman, that this is what happened. On a regular case where there's Eidim, that she's Tameya in a faraway place, that's not necessarily what people know about to say that the whole thing is was not an effective carbon. So the whole water wasn't effective.
In this case of the false witnesses, we just leave it to the government court.
We don't know if she was ever. We don't have witnesses that she was secluded. The husband warned her.
She wasn't. You're saying. I'm saying that in case that there was false witnesses.
Oh, what happens
their
to the false
punishment?
witnesses?
Do
They
drink
probably
too?
get lashes.
They drink also, because whatever happens to the decree on.
I
the-
know, but I don't know if you're gonna do that.
But
I think they're gonna get lashes like those other cases. Okay. Tanya Kavaseder Rav Sheshes, we have a support for Rav Sheshes, however, but it's not from his reasoning. Rav Sheshes' reasoning was from a pasuk that says Ve'edeinba. That means that when is she guilty, that's only if there were no witnesses. But if there were witnesses, even if they're in a faraway place, then the waters won't be affected. That was Rav Sheshes' source. But we have a raya, we have a support for Rav Sheshes' din, but from a different source. So we're saying that Rav Sheshes is correct, but not for the same reason. Because the pasuk says tahira. Now the pasuk, Rashi quotes the pasuk says, if the woman was not guilty and she is pure, then she's like vindicated, and she will have seed. She will have offspring. Okay. Well, the Brisa takes this pasuk. First, it says tahira. It says that she's pure. When does the water work? Only if she's pure, and not if we have witnesses in a faraway country that she's impure. Otherwise, the witnesses don't work. The waters don't work because of those witnesses. Now, it didn't say just tahira. It says utahira. What is that extra vav? It says that extra vav is telling me that the waters don't work also if there's a merit that she has. And then it says the Torah it has she. This means that it's not that everyone knows about her, what she did. Like the women that weave to the moonlight are gossiping about her. So if that happens where everyone knows that she's guilty, then the waters don't work.
If everyone knows she's
So-
guilty, but then the water.
So that's not witnesses, but it's like
Doesn't that give a sign to everyone else that she's?
so those are not witnesses.
Rabbi, when it mentions he or she dying, it's not talking about the waters they weren't given yet, according to Rashi.
Right.
They just happened to die.
They happen to die. They happen to die.
We were speaking, so someone said, "Oh, if he's guilty, if he,
No, the husband wouldn't have died anyway.
the husband happened to die."
Oh.
simply
Right.
because
It's
she
either the
was-
husband or the wife. They happen to die. What does it say by you? This case that Mazaris Bilavana. It means weaving by the moonlight.
Yeah, but not where she, i.e. her infidelity, is discussed by weavers in Sota in the moonlight. Women would sit in groups while spinning thread in the moonlight and gossip about the goings on in the city. If they discuss having their committed adultery, then it is considered public knowledge. and
Public
therefore
knowledge.
not evaluated.
Yeah.
So that's the WhatsApp of those things.
Right. Right.
All the news exchange was
So
exchanged.
moonlight is not Russian horror.
No, that's it's Lashon Hara under the moon.
Makes a song.
Okay, so now we have a pasuk that it doesn't work, that the Sota waters are not effective in one of these three cases. The Gemara asks, what about what we learned yesterday? Reb Shimon, what does Reb Shimon do? Nihi devav darish. Granted, Reb Shimon that says yesterday we learned The Reb Shimon holds that if you're going to allow as chus, a merit to say why the Sota waters don't work, then women aren't going to be afraid of, or women aren't going to be afraid that they'll think that they have a schus. And also the ones that were innocent, we're going to think we're really guilty, but they had a schus. So Reb Shimon, maybe he doesn't darshan the vav. Elisha tells us the vav. Reb Shimon's the vav is not enough of an extra word to say that we're going to darshan it. Need the vav le darash, although he doesn't darshan the vav. V'ika yesh leidim v'dina siyam. What about the tahira? See, if according to Reb Shimon ever the Sota waters aren't effective, then it's going to be mitzi las. It's going to cause a bad name for all the women that were innocent. We'll say that they were really guilty, but why didn't they not die by the Sota waters? Because there was some other reason. Gemara says yesh leidim v'dina siyam l'shchicha. Well, yesh leidim v'dina siyam. Gemara says l'shchicha. You don't have to worry about that, because that's so uncommon that no one's going to say that the reason why they survived was because people knew that they were guilty and the witnesses just weren't here.
Does that mean the witnesses were overseas?
It means that we do have witnesses
Right.
to her guilt, but we just don't. They're just not
can't
available.
make their
They
case.
They can't come to the best.
Do we
No
know
one knows.
why
The tree fell on
the
the forest.
witnesses invalidated the water?
Well, it's based on this verse or based on a different verse. Now, what we're saying now is that Reb Shimon does accept that there are certain cases where the waters are not effective. The only thing is, it has to be very uncommon for otherwise Reb Shimon would say that you can't accept that.
And in this case, it's true, right? So through the witnesses, she doesn't drink. So what caused her to drink?
If there's witnesses that she's guilty, she doesn't drink. What caused it to drink is that we have witnesses that she was secluded. We don't have witnesses to the act.
Not for enough time. Is that what the issue is?
No, and not for the act.
Right, so
Witnesses to the actual act.
But not for the time that we debated how long that time is.
No, they have witnesses that they were secluded for the right amount of time,
Okay.
for the wrong amount of time.
So long.
And that's it. But we don't know what they did in that room.
So what are the other witnesses?
The other witnesses actually were peeking through the window and saw what they did in that room. There's two witnesses that see them both enter into this room. No other doors. And the door
If we
closes.
warned her not to be secluded with this man.
Yeah.
And then there are witnesses. She was with this man for a certain amount of time.
So she's gonna drink water.
Isn't that grounds for divorce?
It's grounds
I
that
thought the other time we drink the water from this is stuff.
Yeah.
So what's the stuff?
the suffix here is what they did in that room.
Well, we never expect, when it comes to yichud, we never expect the witnesses to actually witness the act. These witnesses have to witness that they were in
Yeah.
yichud.
So that's just yichud. But to actually know what they did in there, she's walking out saying that we didn't do anything. Yeah.
Why she believe? We have witnesses that you were in yichud. You have a kavaka.
No, the yichud doesn't tell me, it's still a suffix. So the Sota waters are going to determine what happened in that room. Now we have two other witnesses that were looking through the window on the other side, and they actually peeked in and they saw what happened. They run away to some other country, and they want to give the Sota water, the Sota, the waters to drink, and the waters don't work because of those two witnesses that actually know the fact.
They peeked in and saw that they were playing Uno, right? It doesn't make a difference because they had been watching the entire time.
It's a wrong name.
No, not witnesses that they're not witnesses that they're innocent, witnesses that they're guilty,
So they peeked in and
and they saw them in the act.
His question got my mind going. If the witnesses never testified, how does this husband know that she was secluded? Like how?
No, we have witnesses that they're secluded. We don't have witnesses to
But
the.
the act happened overseas. That's why the witnesses.
No, not the witnesses ran overseas.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay. But still, like, who witnessed the seclusion?
Two other witnesses. Yeah, it has to be 4 witnesses. Okay, unless you follow the other opinion, Rabbi Eliezer, that says you only need one witness to the seclusion, right? Then there's only 3 witnesses. Okay, the new Mishnah says, how does the process go with the Saita? Well, Melicha lebezdin shebaysimakim. She has to go to the bezdin of that city. The bezdin appoints 2 Torah sages, Talmidei Chachamim, students of Chachamim. The Rambam translates Talmid Chachamim, students of sages. And this is students of sages. Maybe these are the patrol, the tznius patrol. Make sure that she doesn't, that the husband doesn't live with her on the road, because that would mess up the whole process. So there's 2 people there watching to make sure. Rabbi Yehuda says that the husband is trusted with his wife. You don't need to send 2 people to make sure that they're not going to be together. You trust the husband every month. You trust him for 2 weeks. You don't have witness. You don't have shulchei bezdin going around making sure, right? Well, the Gemara says trei ve'ihu. You have 2 witnesses, 2 talmid chachamim, plus the husband. Atlasa, that's 3. Lema Messiah leila Rav. This is a good support for Rav. The statement that Rav said, Damar Rav Yehuda Rav Yehuda, famous student of Rav, said, Leishanu ala be'ir. When do we say that a woman is allowed to be secluded together with 2 men? That's safe. 2 men and 1 woman is considered not yichud. But when do we say that? That's only when they're in the city. But if they're on the road, then you need 3 people. Why? Maybe one of them will have to use the bathroom. While one is using the bathroom, the other one is going to be secluded with this married woman. So this is a proof that you need 3 people. In case one of the Talmidei Chachamim needs to use the bathroom, who's going to be left with the husband? If there's only one there, there'll just be the husband. So therefore, you have to have 2 people there. So in case one of them goes, so there'll still be one person there together with the husband, together with the wife. The Gemara says, "Loi, this is not a support for Rav, because this is different. What we're really looking for is witnesses. We're not over here. Isn't our concern that maybe one of them is going to use the bathroom and then they'll be left? Maybe that's not a concern for us at all. We just want to be able to tell the court when we get there that she should not drink because the husband was together with her. And in order to do that, you need to have 2 witnesses to testify that. So that's why there's 2 witnesses, 2 Talmidei Chachamim, and not just 1. In other words, what Rav said may be correct, but our mission has no support for it.
But these 2 people accompanying him are not witnesses.
Why do we have 2 people accompanying him?
To make sure that they don't do.
And if they do, why do we have 2 people? Maybe the 1 would be good enough. So we have 2 so that they should act as witnesses when they get to the court to say that don't make her drink because they were together. The Gemara says Talmidei Chachamim in Kuli al Malai. You can only use Talmidei Chachamim. You can't use other people. You have to use the yeshiva students. You can't use other people to be the witnesses. Maybe this supports another statement of Rav. Rav Yehuda, student of Rav, says in the name of Rav, this was only taught that you can have 2 people or 3 people, 2 or 3 men, depending on if it's in the city or not, to be a protection against yichud. That's only if they're ksherim, avol prutzim. But if the men are, how do they translate prutzim? Parrots. What is it?
Loose morals.
Yeah, loose morals. Is that if they're people of loose morals, then afilu asar nami, then even 10 people is not a protection. They're all, there's gangs. Ma'aseh, there was a story, sheitzu asar b'mita, that there were 10 people that carried out a woman on a bed, and they made believe that she was dead. They carried her out, a married woman, outside the city, like as if they're doing a burial, and they all 10 lived with her. She wasn't dead. She was so you see that it's that the amount of people doesn't matter. It has to be what type of people. That's very important. That's what Rav is saying. Yeah. You can make a democracy, but you have to have the values behind it for it to function the way you want it.
Amen.
Right?
The whole bag of trophies.
You have to take an IQ test before you go.
It's not political.
What was that? Oh, yeah. Okay. The Gemara says, like, that's all. It's not a proof. It's not a proof to Rav either, because Hachainu time of the Adidasube. Why over here did you need Talmid Chachamim? Not because these people are more moral, because these people need to know the halachas and how to warn him before he lives with her. They have to tell him that he's going to get malchus. They have to warn. Because they need to know the halachas. Okay, so that's why they say Talmid Chacham, not because they're the only ones that would be trusted for the yichud issue, but they're the only ones that would know how to do the warning. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says that the husband is believed. Tanya, we have a brisa, elaborates on what it says in the Mishnah. Many times the Mishnah is more concise and the brisa is more elaborate. Rabbi Yehuda says, that the husbands believe because of a kal v'chaimer. In other words, we don't need witnesses there to watch them. The husband's fine. He says, take a look at this. A very good kal v'chaimer. Oman nida shiba karis. Nida is much more strict. The laws of nida is karis. It's like eating on Yom Kippur. It's very strict. Chametz on Pesach. It's a strict law in the laws of nida. But that we trust the husband. We don't have put witnesses into the room, into the house. So Saita, Shiba Lav, Saita is not such a strict law. It's only a negative prohibition that he should not be with her after this suspicion. Like Kolshkein, if you trust him for something more strict, for sure you should trust him for something that's less strict. It's a good kal v'chaimer. Rabbanan. So what did the Tanakama hold? The Rabbanan hold, Hianisenes. It's exactly for the same reason that Rabbi Yehuda says that they say the opposite. Why? Neither the kares, neither is a very strict law. So Chamira Le'Yemehaman, they take it for more serious, and that's why we trust them. They're not going to violate it. The man, the husband. So Saita Dalav, but Saita, it's just a negative prohibition. It's not it's kares. So Chamira Le'Yemehaman, because it's not so strict, we don't. It's exactly that reason could be used for both sides. Yeah, the same logic could be used for both sides. This it talks about this in Chassidus. Like one seichel, one chachma could be. You could touch it like this. You could touch it like that. It could be told to
Two sides to the coin.
Wow.
Yeah. They quote from Panim, the Chassidus quotes from the Panim Yafis, from the Afla. It talks about when Hashem says He won't destroy the world because ki yetzer leiv adam ra min urav. Because machshavei slibe rak kol hayom, something like that. And then when it comes after the flood, it says that He's not going to ever bring a flood again because yetzer leiv. The same reason that's used for the flood is the same reason that He won't bring. So anyway, you could use it both sides. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda, the Gemara now says, Rabbi Yehuda mikal v'chaimer ma'asila. Rabbi Yehuda has a kal v'chaimer, which tells us that you don't need to have these witnesses there to protect them from to safeguard that they shouldn't be together. He uses a kal v'chaimer. Rabbi Yehuda mikroi ma'asila. He has a pasuk, not a kal v'chaimer. I'm sorry.
And afatori is a kal
A
v'chaimer.
fortiori.
Fortiori.
Yeah, fortiori is like the
Latin or something.
yeah, but it's the word that's used for this type of logic.
Right. Oh.
I think there's the is it called the logician? Yeah, is that a word? Logician.
Sure.
I think they have words for every type of logic.
Is that right? Oh.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't
yeah,
know
what I
that
wanted
is.
to do was to study logic and then like color code the Gemara based on all the different types of
Wow.
logic that's being used. I think it's a great project. But just you guys.
Oh, cool. That is
Can you follow?
That's a new book. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. That's a new book to be made.
This one color codes it based on.
A question answer, yeah.
Yeah, but then, but.
But because when
Yeah,
you're teaching, sometimes your student just doesn't get that. So you can say, well, this is a certain type of logic that you have
Right.
here, and there, and there. and
Are there like
show the
13
pattern.
different types of logic? I think?
There's 13 ways that the
13 ways.
psukim could be studied, that we derive halachas from psukim.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the types of logic that the Gemara uses. The Gemara uses all types of logic. Okay, so Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda learns from a Kal V'Chaimer. He brings it from a pasuk. The Tanya we have a brisa. Maybe the brisa quotes a pasuk. Man brings his wife to the kayan. Minatayra hi'ish maybe a sishtei. Really, the husband can bring his wife. You don't need anyone else there. That the sages said, the rabbi said that they have to bring that they have to have other people there so that you shouldn't live with her on the road. Okay, well, that's the Tanna Kama. The Tanna Kama says that really Minatayra, you don't need someone else to bring it. The husband can bring. So far, so good. That's the Tanna Kama.
Excuse me, is there any place else where we have a qualification for the witness who warns, for the person who warns?
Possibly by the bezdin of the conversion, it says that they have Talmidei Chachamim. And Moshe Feinstein says that it doesn't really mean Talmidei Chachamim, it just means people that know what halachas to tell the person while he's converting. They have to tell him mitzvahs, kalas, mitzvahs, chamuras. They have to know, just to know if you think.
I'm asking you, for example, capital cases that require hasra.
Right.
No requirement of knowledge on the person
Right.
who gives hasra.
Right.
That's a capital case. It's just
Right. Maybe the reason that it doesn't say that over there is because maybe that's more common knowledge and they don't need to be Talmidei Chacham. Well, that's not allowed, right? So, okay. So far we have a Tanna Kama. Yeah.
Is there an example like when you do a loan that it must be repaid in front of two Torah scholars?
Doesn't say Torah scholars, in front of witnesses. If you borrow in front of witnesses, you're supposed to pay in front of witnesses. Or else those witnesses will testify to the loan, they won't know that.
I think that it's from what I remember. Like that's where we use like what qualifies as a Torah scholar is from that example.
I'm not sure.
There was this person, a very wealthy person, they gave a loan to somebody, like he knew, like he was very knowledgeable, and then that person paid him back, and then like without any witnesses, and then he took him to the big thing and said, oh look, he didn't pay me in front of two Torah scholars, and then that's what one of the big rabbis said, just give him the money now, and we're two Torah scholars, because he had repaid him, but he was just like using that.
I'm not familiar. Well, Rabbi Yossi Eimer Baila Neman Lam Kal V'Chaimer. I'd like to turn the page. Rabbi Naftali. I don't know if I will, but I'd like to turn the page, at least to finish the Mishnah. Just to turn the page today. But you're not going to be here anyway. So tomorrow, we'll do Ches, Tes, and Shabbos we're not going to learn. So maybe Testament Bays by the Mishnah, Shimshon. Testament Bays. That's hopefully Sunday. That's when we'll start. Okay, let's see if we can get Testament Pesach. Rabbi Yossi's view is Rabbi Yossi that the husband is believed because of the Kal V'Chaimer, which is what we said before from Rabbi Yehuda. The husbands believe in this, which is so strict. The Saita for sure should be believed. Sages said to him, the reason why we trust a husband together with his wife that's a nida is because look, it's only 2 weeks. Or 7 days back then. It's only 7 days, it's only 2 weeks. They'll wait it out. So, but over here, there's gonna be no resolution. He's never be permitted to. So maybe it's gonna be too hard for him. Vaimer, and also another verse is Mayim Gnuvim Yimtaku. And he has a strong Yetzer Hara for things that are prohibited. Okay. That's what the sages said. Rabbi Yehuda says, Minatayra ha'ish mevis ishtei ala kayan. Minatayra, the husband can bring his wife. You don't need other people there. Shneimar v'hevis ishtei. Finished. We have a pasuk. Question is, you told me that Rabbi Yehuda has the Kal V'Chaimer. Now you tell me Rabbi Yehuda quotes a pasuk. The Gemara says, yeah, Amalu kal v'chaymer bereisha. He said a kal v'chaymer, but they asked him a question on the kal v'chaymer. They said that exact logic could be exactly the opposite. Other amalu kra. So then he quoted the pasuk. The Gemara says Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanakama. The Tanakama also had the pasuk. The Gemara says, yeah, granted, it could be nayo aval amru, but the difference is aval amru. That the Tanakama said that the pasuk tells me that the husband can bring, but then they added in. But the sages said that no. The sages said that you need to meet the chacham in there. Okay. The new Mishnah. They brought her up to the big court, great court in Yerushalayim. Ma'aymin ala, they would scare her. The way they would scare. Does it say scare? What does it say? Threaten. They would threaten her. The way they would threaten the people that came for testimony, capital punishment. They say to her like this: Biti, my daughter, Harbi Yayin Isa. Often, like wine can do this. Harbi Schreik Isa, being lightheaded can do this. They're telling her that you could admit, this happens all the time. It's not so. It's take it easy. You're allowed to say the truth. Harbi Yaldis Isa, it's childishness. It's fine. Yeah, you had bad influences when you were a teenager. Asay l'shmiya gadol. The Bach switches this. Al tasu l'shmiya gadol shnichlu b'kedusha. Admit before we have to erase Hashem's name. Well,
but if she admits to being at fault, then she would die.
No, she just walks out without getting the
Really?
without it
voluntarily?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she doesn't die. If she doesn't admit, she could die. Because the Sota water. We're encouraging her to admit and not erase God's name. That we shouldn't erase Hashem's name on the water. We also tell her things that are not that no one should have to hear. She and not all her father's household. What do they tell her? They're going to tell her about different things. The Gemara is going to explain different stories from the Torah of people that admit it. If she says to me, that I'm guilty, you see, what happens? She bears ksuba, she loses her ksuba, and she leaves the family, she leaves that marriage. But if she says that she's pure, they bring her up to the east gate, which is at the entrance of the gates of Nicanor. Shasham Mashkinas Saitis over there, the Saita drinks. Mitarnas Yoldis over there, the woman that gave birth also goes right there. Mitarnas Matern, and they also purify the Torah right there. The Kohen grabs her by the clothing. Now, im nikru, if the clothing tear, then they tear. Im niframu. What does niframu mean? A big tear.
Isn't that not sneeze for?
Yes. Achu Magalas Liba, until it exposes her heart, which sounds very unsneeze, right? The Seiser Sarah, and he undoes their hair. That's if the hair was braided or something. Rabbi Yehuda says no. If her heart area, chest was pretty, they wouldn't expose that. If her hair was pretty, so they wouldn't expose that either. If she was dressed in white clothes, they put on black clothes. If they had golden jewelry, katliyas is a choker, like a necklace. Nizamim and nose rings, or tabais, or earrings, or tabais, or rings. They remove them so that she should look more disgusting. They bring a. Now, how do they translate mitzri? Does they translate it as Egyptian? Egyptian robe. And they tie it above her breast. I guess it means to hold the clothing in place above her breast because they just tore the top of it. Anyone that wants to watch the scene is allowed to come and watch, except for her maidservant and her servants, because they should leave a gospel because that's going to give her extra strength, encouragement to try to deny it. But all women are allowed to come to watch. His maschana. Let me see how that's translated here. All women may be taught not to do after your lewdness. Kizim maschana. Kizim maschana.
The word zima first.
Benivasru. It's not been nice. Benivasru. that all women may be taught. Like, I guess it means like Musa. Okay.
So they see what.
Let's leave it over here. Okay, good day, everyone. Good Yantif. Oops.
Thank you. Don't have.
Good Yonto, everyone. Rabbi,
Okay.
good Yonto.
Good Yantif. Have a good Yantif, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Sim over here.